In the world's largest democracy, what happens when the election is over but the fight has just begun? What if the losers don't just concede but accuse the winners of stealing the entire thing? That's exactly what we're going to get into. A political firestorm in India, all centered around one explosive phrase: vote chori, which means vote theft.
In that quote from opposition leader Rahul Gandhi, it really lays out the battle lines in black and white. This isn't just about political spin, it's a fundamental challenge to the legitimacy of the election results. So to really understand how we got here, we need to unpack the claims, the official response, and what this all really means.
All right, so here's our game plan. First, we'll dig into the vote chori accusation itself. Then, we'll look at the official rebuttal. After that, we'll see how these claims spilled over into street protests. And finally, we'll tackle the huge question this raises about democracy itself.
Okay, so first up, let's unpack these core claims. What exactly is being alleged here, and who's pointing the finger? We're focusing on the charges laid out by Rahul Gandhi and his political allies.
Now, this whole firestorm really hinges on this one term: vote chori. And yeah, it literally translates to vote theft, but the political weight it carries is just immense. This isn't some dry technical complaint about a few irregularities. No, it's a direct, really emotional claim that the will of the people was deliberately ignored, and that the result was basically a sham. So the central accusation is incredibly bold. The opposition is claiming that the ruling BJP didn't just act alone. They allege that the party had help from the one body that's supposed to be the neutral referee of every election, the Election Commission of India. The claim is that this wasn't some accident, but a systematic, coordinated plan to steal votes across key states. And to show this wasn't just some vague feeling they had, the opposition pointed to very specific examples. In just one constituency, Mahadevpura, they claimed they found evidence of over 100,000 fraudulent votes. Now think about that number. In any election, that's more than enough to completely swing the result.
So how did they say this happened? Well, they laid out a whole playbook of the alleged theft. They pointed to all kinds of specific methods, from creating duplicate names on the voter lists and using fake addresses, to messing with official registration forms. They even claimed that fake photos were used on voter IDs and that some people were able to vote more than once.
Okay, so you can't make an accusation that huge, one that strikes at the very heart of the democratic process, and not expect a response, right? So let's look at how the Election Commission and the ruling BJP fired back. And this is where it all comes to a head. On one side, you have the opposition claiming the Election Commission was a willing partner in crime. On the other, the EC's response was sharp and to the point. They called the allegations totally baseless and basically dared Rahul Gandhi to put his money where his mouth is. They said, "Stop the political talk and give us legal proof in a signed affidavit."
This whole show us the proof thing quickly turned into this standoff, really a battle over principles. The EC demanded a formal, sworn, legal document, but Rahul Gandhi's reported comeback reframed the whole issue. He basically argued that his oath to the Constitution already binds him to protect the election's outcome, so in his view, another affidavit was beside the point.
And the Election Commission didn't just speak in generalities. They went on the attack, targeting specific claims. For instance, when Rahul Gandhi highlighted a specific person who he said had voted twice, the EC looked into it and publicly shot it down, saying their records proved the person voted only once.
But, despite these denials from the EC, the opposition coalition, the India Alliance, they didn't back down. In fact, they did the opposite. They doubled down, using incredibly harsh language, accusing the BJP of turning the country's entire election system into, and this is a direct quote, a vote theft machine. So all of this war of words, it was never going to stay just as words. The conflict boiled over, moving out of press conferences and into the streets with direct action and public protests.
And what really gave these protests their power was the show of unity. This wasn't just one person or one party's complaint. You had major national figures like Rahul and Priyanka Gandhi and Mallikarjun Kharge standing alongside powerful state leaders like Mamata Banerjee and M.K. Stalin. This was a message that the accusation had broad support from all corners of the country.
You can really see how things ramped up step by step. First, you had the leaders all uniting. Then they took the fight right to the doorstep of the very institution they were accusing, protesting right outside the Election Commission's main office. And it all climaxed when police started detaining these high-profile leaders, creating this dramatic showdown that grabbed headlines everywhere.
But
Look, the protests, the accusations, the denials, according to the sources, these are all symptoms of a much deeper problem. This whole fight isn't just about who won or lost one election, it's about the very health of India's democracy.
To really get what's at stake here, you have to appreciate the sheer scale of the accusation. We're not talking about a couple of questionable races. The opposition claims they have proof of vote theft in 48 different Lok Sabha seats. That's the national parliament. Now, if that were true, a number that big isn't just a scandal, it could potentially shift the balance of power for the whole country.
At the end of the day, the opposition's entire argument really boils down to this one fundamental idea. The way they frame it, this isn't about politics, it's about the foundation of the whole system. In their words, to take away the value of the people's vote is to kill democracy.
And so that's where this leaves us. Regardless of who's right and who's wrong here, this entire controversy exposes a deep crack in political trust. It forces us to ask a really fundamental question, not just for India, but for any democracy. When that trust in the system starts to break down, what is the true value of your vote?